Hey, Facebook. Happy day 2 of summer. Bye, guys. Bye. We're wrapping up our story time class this morning, and I went live just a little bit early this morning to see if just before 11 maybe is a better time for us. Bye, buddy. We'll see. It's a busy, buzzing place, so I'm really thinking we may have to move this next week to a 2 o'clock start instead of an 11 o'clock because there's just too much going on first thing in the morning. But welcome to the studio, and I am glad that you are here this morning with me. We're going to be doing some clay art today. This is perfect for a little bit older kids because it involves teeny tiny little movements of those fingers, little bitty miniatures. And good things about that is that it's not going to use a whole heck of a lot of supplies, which means you're not out like a lot of money on supplies. It's nice when they work small because you don't go through as much, right? And a little bit of clay goes a long way when you're making a bunch of teeny tiny things. So we're going to be doing these miniatures. If you've got young ones at home who want to do it too, you can absolutely do polymer clay with little kids. We do it in the studio all the time. You just have to kind of you have to manage your expectation. They're going to not be able to do this. You can do it together, and you can help them with it, and you can do parts, and they can do parts. You're going to end up doing most of it, just because it is tricky with those fingers to get in there and roll those teeny tiny pieces. So we're going to be building a little, whoops, knocked into my light. We're going to be building a little unicorn. Can you see him? I've rigged up this leveled workstation here so that you can see me. Otherwise, my desk is down here, and I was afraid you wouldn't be able to see what I was doing. So there's our little cute unicorn miniature that we're going to make together. And then I promise that later in the summer, we will do dragons, because I know people want to know how to do the clay dragons. So we'll do those as well, but we'll do unicorns today, and then we'll do dragons maybe next week. Okie doke. Couple notes before we get started. I know we are just a little bit before 11. We're going to probably go for about 20 minutes. I've had a couple questions. Most common questions lately that I've been getting is, are you going to have a Father's Day open studio, like a gift session like we did last year and like we've done for Mother's Day the last couple of years? And the answer is yes. And we've been struggling to figure out what we want to make. So I think we nailed it down yesterday, which is exciting. So you'll want to check your email if you're on our email list. You'll want to check your email today or tomorrow because we'll be emailing that out. It'll go in email first, and then it will go into the website and onto Facebook. So it'll be promoted this week. But if you want to know first, you want to subscribe to our email list. The other thing that'll be in that email list is the patriotic tie-dye, which we did last year, and a lot of people had asked about whether or not we were going to do it again as a workshop. So if you want a red, white, and blue tie-dyed shirt, you're going to want to get on that email list and get signed up. It's limited space because it is a mess. And it's a lot of like hands and a lot of management, but they turn out great. We use really high quality dyes from Dharma Trading Company. We'll send you home with some professional strength textile detergent to really set the color, so that way you have a beautiful shirt for the 4th of July. All right? So get on the email list so that way you guys have got that. Hi, guys. We're on Facebook Live. We're going to do a clay tutorial. I know, right? It's a good time. It is. All right, so let's make a little unicorn, shall we? Here we go. So I've got all my polymer clay over here. And you can see we've used it recently because it's in these egg cartons. After it gets opened up and kind of chunked up, this is how we lay it down at the tables, so that if you hand a child a block of clay, they'll use all of it. And you don't usually use all of it. So we've actually chopped it up into teeny tiny chiclets and almost made a paint palette out of it using these dollar store trays. So this is what we put out at the tables. When we store it, this isn't in storage. This setup here is ready to use to go out at tables. We store it in egg cartons. So we just put each color in each carton, in each little section of the egg. And it's a great way to store it because then the colors don't get right next to each other and they don't mix up. The nice thing about this clay is it doesn't dry out, so it's not something that we need to seal or make sure that air doesn't get to. So you want to come over and see what I'm doing? So I've got a really pretty kind of silver color that we're going to use for the body of our unicorn. Hi, Rachel. I'm glad you're here. Those are my rocks. You can play with those. Go ahead. So I've got this, and the polymer clay, it's a little bit tough when you first start. And so when you get it out of the package, or if it's been sitting in the tray for a while, you want to kind of take it and you want to just work it. You want to knead it. We call that conditioning the clay, and it warms it up and it makes it softer and it makes it easier to use. So we've got this conditioning. Now we're not going to use this whole big chunk for the body. We're going to go ahead and divide it up. Thank you for the like. Donna, that was you, I know, because I saw the great big W flag on your profile picture when it popped up. So Donna's a Cub fan like me. So we're going to take just a chunk of it here, and this is going to be the body of our unicorn. So I'm going to start by rolling it in my hands. Whoops, dropping it. And we're going to make something that's similar to like a log shape, so it's like a fat coil. And when we do building with clay, one of the things that one of the techniques we use is coil building. We teach coil, we teach slab, and we teach pinch pot. And today we're going to use a lot of coils. So this first one here, this is kind of a nice fat coil, and that's going to be the body of our unicorn. All right, so step one is done. Now we're going to do his legs, and his legs are going to be 4 coils of generally about the same size. If you're teaching this to kids, the easiest way to decide your size is actually to start with balls of clay, because it's a lot easier to make 4 equal-sized balls of clay and then make them into coils than it is to make 1 coil and try to match it 4 times or 3 times. Make sense? So I'm just kind of pinching off equal-sized balls of clay and setting them here. And I'll take a look at them and I'll decide if that looks right. This one looks a little big, so we'll pinch off just a little bit of it. All right, and set this down because we'll need that for our head. Hi.
I can't remember if I prepaid for this or not. I just want to make sure.
Is he on the sign-in sheet?
Yes.
Okay, then you've paid.
Okay, we good.
Yep, you're good.
Also, I signed her up for Art in the Dark. Is that her little brother?
That's actually her little brother. Sure.
I signed her up for Art in the Dark class. And I realized that we have a conflict.
Okay.
I was going to see if I could switch her to a different Art in the Dark.
Awesome. I am on a Facebook Live video right now.
I'm sorry.
So I'm going to have you talk to Sam or Nancy or Liz or there's Sam. Can you help her with Art in the Dark? So I've got my little ball of clay right here, and I'm just rolling it just like you do snakes in Play-Doh. So we've got them, right? Little tiny snakes, and these will be our legs right here. I told you, it's crazy in here at 11. It's not going to work, you guys. And you'd think I could just hide in a classroom, but I can't because the classrooms all have kids in them. So here we go. So I've got 4 little legs. Now there's a reason we're not making our unicorn stand up, right? We don't put our legs and have them stand. That's pretty tricky. When we're doing especially sculpture with kids, we want to make it so that they're successful. So our little unicorn is laying down because that's a heck of a lot easier than having him stand up, right? If you want to work on getting him to stand up, you go right ahead. But that is tricky, and he needs fat legs if you're going to do that. So ours is a laying down unicorn, and if you wanted to with these little legs, you could put little hooves on the end, different colors, especially if you wanted to. For time reasons, I'm not going to. I want to get it built mostly. All right, so we got 4 legs that I'm going to kind of line up here, and it's like putting him on skis. So I put my 4 skis, and I'm going to set them with a small distance in between them, and they're rolling because I've got my thing tipped towards you, so they're like rolling downhill, which is funny, right? All right, so once we have them positioned, I'm going to stick this on top. And I find it easier to build this way than it is to try to flip them over and put them on the underside. It just helps me put it down. So I've got 2 legs there on the back. And when you join polymer clay, you do want to apply a little bit of pressure. Not so much that it's like squished flat, but a little bit so that it is on there. Otherwise, when you bake it, it pops off. Which, I mean, super glue is like the best awesome thing. If you bake this and it pops off, you do a little bit of super glue. All right. So here we go. We've got a headless. That's what it looks like on the bottom. Little headless unicorn. Okay. Let's make him a head. Make sure I keep this where you guys can see him. There he is. All right. I need a little more silver. So we got to dig into my trays here. If you had a color that you couldn't find, so say you really wanted a light pink and there wasn't one, the polymer clay works just like paint. So you can mix them together and make them that way, okay? All right. So for our head, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to roll ourselves a ball, and we're going to kind of pinch it into an oval shape. And I'm going to bulk this up because I feel like he's not quite big enough, you guys. And I don't have, oh, there's silver. There it is. Okay. So we'll condition these two together. Squish it, get working. All right, there we go. That's good because I'm going to need some for my ears. We're working with really light color right now. If you are working with a dark color and you switch to a light color, you need to make sure that you wash your hands because it will transfer. So especially like with the white, if you worked with, I've got a microphone, so they can only hear me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's all right. So if you're using like a red and you get it on your fingers and then you go to white, it will leave a pinky residue on your white clay. So you want to make sure that you keep your hands kind of clean. Just have a baby wipe next to you. Or if it doesn't bother you, that's cool too, right? So here we go. We got a little oval shape, and we're going to stick him on here, right here.
That's cool.
You like it? You see my little unicorn? We're going to do dragons later, but right now I'm doing unicorns. There we go. See? Very basic. If you can roll coils and balls, you can make a clay unicorn dragon thing. All right, now let's make ears, right? So we're going to take 2 small pinches and kind of roll them into a ball because we want to make sure, hey, there's an ant hanging out over here. We want to make sure that they are about the same size before I actually go into shaping them into an ear. We're going to make them kind of pointy and then squish them down. They got a point at the top. Make sure I can get that to focus. There's a little point at the top. And we'll add it right on here. Now, I've got 2 special tools here to help me. We use these in our metal tooling and we use them for clay. If you don't have these, see they have like a ball on the end in different sizes. If you don't have these, and you can find them on Amazon, they sell them at Michael's and they sell them at Hobby Lobby by the Polymer clay. But you can also just use like a metal skewer. You can use the back of a spoon. You can use the tip of a butter knife. But this helps me kind of apply pressure to the side of the clay, right where I kind of put it on there, better than my finger can, because my finger can only push from the top. But I can get that little tool and push from the side and kind of drag down. It's a lot easier than my fingers. So here we go. Let's do another ear. We'll put them on this side. This one's got big ears. That's all right. Push it down with my tool because that works better than my fingers. I can also shape with my tool. It's easier to bend it with my tool and a finger than 2 fingers. All right. Here we go. Tip them over, and I'm going to put them closer to the camera so you guys can see what we've got so far. And then, of course, it's a unicorn, so the next thing we're going to make is his horn. He's so cute. Here we go. We need a horn. Let's do a yellow one. Okay. I gotta watch my time, you guys, because my kids have to be picked up from camp at 11:30. Another reason why we went a little bit early today. Here we go. So the horn is just a coil that's going to be narrower on one side and fatter on the other. So in order to make one side narrower, we just apply a little bit more pressure and we roll a little bit more on the pointed side. And the horn can be any length that you want. I want him taller than my ears, but if you wanted to make him shorter and stubbier, you sure could. These are kind of a cartoony looking unicorns, and I like it. We definitely don't want it to be curved like that, though, but we'll fix it. All right, so let me see if I can show you. I'm going to stand up a second. You can see my Pete the Cat shirt. Isn't that cool? All right, so right here next to this, I'm going to grab the little ball end, and I'm going to pull down from the side and attach that horn on there. All right, and that just secures it to the head of my unicorn. And like I said, if you bake this and the little piece fell off, super glue is your friend. it will super glue right on there, I promise. The other thing I should mention is if you're doing this on a table at home, I usually like to cover it with just a plain piece of typing paper for two reasons. One, it keeps your clay nice and clean, keeps your table protected from the polymer, but then you can also spin it really easily, right? So you're not picking it up, you're just turning the paper. All right, so we have our little unicorn so far. He needs a tail and he needs a mane, and we're going to do some swirling of clay, which is another fun thing that you can do with polymer clay. It's like color mixing, only you're not going to mix it up all the way. We're going to leave it so that it's still got a little bit of unmixed part to it. So I've got 4 colors here, just blues and greens. We'll do my daughter's favorite color. And I'm going to roll them into 4 snakes. So here's a snake, just a short one. Let's roll another one. They don't need to be equal size, but if they're not kind of the same, then kind of one color can overpower the other ones. We're going to do this if you've ever seen candy making, like candy canes. It's kind of a similar thing. Whoops, they're rolling downhill. Stop rolling downhill. Stop it. There we go. One more. This is this really, really bright green here. And I've alternated. I put them next to each other, and they go blue, green, blue, green, blue, green. I'm just going to push them together. So they look like that. Coils, and I just shoved them together a little bit. All right, so I'm going to press, kind of get these so that they stick together. Okay, and then I'm going to roll them into a snake, and I'm going to give them a twist. And then I'll roll them a little bit more. Make sure I don't mess up my unicorn that's sitting here. And give it a little twist. So I've made myself kind of a swirled coil, and that's how I did the pink and the purple here. Something to tell your kids when they're doing this, if they are going to mix and swirl colors, to only make as much as they think they're going to use. Don't make extra, because you can't unswirl it after you've done it. So it's really cool, but you can't unswirl it. All right, so this is going to be part of our tail. You can always make more, but you can't undo it. So I'm shaping myself a little tail piece, and it goes onto the back here. And when you're doing sculpture, you want to work from the underneath layer to the top layer, right? So my first instinct is to go and do this really fun swirl on my tail, but I got to remember that underneath that fun sculptural swirl that's on top, I got to get the underlayers in first. So we're going to actually start with some of kind of just the structure that's underneath, kind of shape the hair that is going to go around the body of my unicorn. So that's that one. And then let's do, hey, do you need me?
Nope.
Okay.
Just gonna steal this.
You're going to steal that? Okay. So this one goes right on his rear end here, and we'll give him a fun little curl. And there's no right or wrong way to make his tail. You could make it a solid color too. It doesn't need to swirl. But I think that's kind of fun. So I pushed it down nice and tight. So that way it's on there. And let's do a mane really fast. Let's see. We're going to stick to the same color scheme. This is very My Little Pony inspired. If you're of the generation that I am. Although My Little Ponies are still around, right? They just look different. Especially the cartoon. They're very different now. Can't say I'm a fan, but now Rainbow Bright, that's another story. Okay, here we go. I've got my colors, got them into a snake. I'm going to start twisting them around. If you squish and twist and squish and twist and fold, you can actually mix up these colors so that they don't show the lines as much. So the more that you marble and swirl them, the less it'll show the lines. Okay. Not as much light green in that one, but I think it's okay. So I'm going to use this to make the mane on my unicorn. And when I did my other one, I think I did it in about 3 pieces. So we'll try to do that again. This one, I think this unicorn's a teeny bit smaller, but so you never need as much as you think, I feel like. All right, so we got a little swirl of hair here. It's going to go right here on the back of my unicorn's head. And I'm just going to leave that there and I'll shape it later. But the first thing I want to do is really get it stuck down there. So I'm going to use my tool and kind of squish it down in there. And then this back end here, I'm going to use my tool and my finger to kind of shape it where I want. It's just easier than my fingers alone. And then we want it to kind of drape over the side. There you go. There's one. Let's get kind of a top layer on top of that. And then I've got more down here that I can use for the part in the front, kind of like the bangs, unicorn bangs. Okay, same thing. I'll put it right in between his ears. Not going to worry about that tail, that end right now. I just want to make sure I get it nice and stuck. There. Perfect. And we'll wrap him around. And I can't see what I'm doing. I'm doing it all on camera. So, because I can't see that side over there. Normally I would work towards me, right? But it's all about you guys. So maybe spin really quick. Let me just check. Ooh, I want this to kind of roll. So I've got two tools if I really need them. This is where like your skewers, or if you've got skewers that you would use in the. Sorry, my phone's buzzing because of text messages, so that's why I'm distracted. But if you have skewers that you would use in the kitchen, like to skewer veggies and meats to put on the grill, that's what you could use. So if you to kind of give yourself skinny little fingers, right? All right, let's do our top bangs part, and this is so tiny, and it's optional. You don't have to do this. I just kind of like it. So, and I don't know if you know this about me, but you guys, horses and unicorns were kind of my thing growing up. Like, I loved them, and I loved art, and so almost all of my art was a horse or a unicorn. And go away, I'll get to it, I promise. When I lost my train of thought. Oh well. Oh no, I know what I was gonna say. So my daughter really got into unicorns lately, and that made me very happy. That's all I was gonna say. Okay, we won't do one more because I don't want to get overboard with this. I am going to use my shaping tool, and I'm going to make nostrils on it. So I want to pick the right size right here, and I'm just going to press into the clay with this little ball here. If you didn't have these tools, you just need to find something that has a little ball shape on it. Maybe you have a eyedropper bottle that has that. Maybe you have something in your cosmetics kit that has just that round shape to it. So anything and everything can be a clay tool. It doesn't have to be something that is specifically made for it. Ask my husband, I use the dinner plates as paint palettes all the time. All the time. All right, so that'll be our unicorn. Now, and I'm not going to do it here on camera, but if I was ready to bake this, let's zoom in closer. You want to see it closer? Hang on. Sorry, that's my hand. There's my unicorn. Isn't it pretty? No, it doesn't have an eyeball like the other one because you want to bake it first in your oven, and you bake it based on the directions of your polymer clay. So I know on ours it says 275 for 15 minutes, and it's 15 minutes for every 1/4 inch. So typically half an hour and we are good to go. Make sure I put that back in the tripod without powering down my camera because that's bad. All right, so you would bake this in your oven. It's almost like low and slow, right? You don't want to over bake it. When you pull it out, it may feel still a little bit squishy. Trust your measurements and your process, and let it cool because it will harden as it cools, and it will toughen up a little bit. Right when it comes out of the oven, it's still a little bit soft. And like I said, if anything pops off, you go ahead and just super glue that right back on after it cools off. And that's what you can use to put your eyeballs on, is just super glue and googly eyes. Or you can use your clay and make eyes and everything. But the googly eyes, I think, are kind of fun and playful. I hope you enjoyed that clay unicorn tutorial and that you try it out at home. And if you do, that you post pictures of it so that I can see it. You can tag us at Orange Easel Art on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter. All right, guys, I have to go pick up my children from where they are at, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow. And I will post here if it's going to be at 2 o'clock instead of 11. Okay? Bye.